It was my own son who framed me and sent me to prison for a crime I never committed. He harmed my child. They thought this old man was broken, powerless, and forgotten. But they never imagined what was about to happen. With just one phone call, everything would change. Before I tell you how it all began, drop a comment and let me know where are you watching this from. I want to know who's listening to an old man's story of betrayal and revenge. The cell walls were damp, reeking of old concrete, dried sweat, and rotting hope. Yet for me, Theodore Griffin, those walls had become a calendar. With the tip of my thumbnail rough and chipped, I traced another small vertical line near the leg of my iron cot. 7/29, tomorrow would be day 730. Tomorrow I would walk out of Dallas County Jail. I took a deep breath, filling my lungs with the stale Texas air that tasted like rust and regret. The heat made the cell feel like an oven, even at night. I sat cross-legged on the thin mattress that had been my bed for 2 years. Before this, I slept in a king-sized bed in my Highland Park mansion. Before this, I was Theodore Griffin, founder of Sterling Industries worth $70 million. Now, I was just inmate A47239. The memories came like a flood, the courthouse, Judge Morrison's cold gaze. And there on the witness stand, my own son, Logan Griffin, in a perfectly pressed suit, manufactured sorrow on his face. I loved my father, Your Honor. Logan's voice had trembled. But I cannot justify his actions. He pushed Delilah down the stairs. She was pregnant. He killed my unborn child. Then came Delilah, Logan's wife, sitting in a wheelchair, clutching her flat stomach. Crocodile tears rolled down her cheeks. Father Griffin screamed at me. She sobbed. Then he pushed me. I felt my baby dying. Lies. Every word was a lie. I had gone to Logan's office that day to confront him about embezzlement. 1.5 million missing from company accounts. But I never touched Delilah. She'd thrown herself down the stairs. The security camera had mysteriously malfunctioned during those crucial minutes, leaving only footage of me at the top with fury on my face. 2 years when the gavel struck, my world collapsed. I watched Logan embrace Delilah, and in that moment, I caught a look, not guilt, but cold calculation. The look of someone who just eliminated the only obstacle to an inheritance. I had tried to fight, but Logan moved fast, filing an emergency petition to freeze my accounts, claiming I was mentally unstable. Without access to my money, I couldn't hire the attorneys who might have saved me. I was stuck with an overworked public defender who barely looked at my case before advising a guilty plea. I refused. I went to trial and I lost. Theodore, you daydreaming again? A raspy voice interrupted. Carl Bennett, my cellmate. A man in his 60s serving time for fraud. My only companion in this hellhole. Just counting Carl, I replied quietly. Tomorrow you walk free, Carl said, folding his uniform. If I were you, I'd be praising the Lord. But you're too calm, Theo. Like someone going to the grocery store, not walking out of hell. I allowed a faint smile that didn't reach my eyes. Because the real hell isn't here, Carl, I whispered. The real hell is out there waiting for me. Carl raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. I stood walking to the cracked mirror above the sink. The man staring back was different. Hair streaked with gray, face hardened, eyes darker. I'd lost 20 pounds, not from bad food, but from the rage burning inside me like a furnace. I thought of Elizabeth, my wife of 30 years, dead 3 years now, gone before she could see what our son had become. Logan, Delilah. I said the names like curses. Tomorrow they'd be waiting outside with reporters staging reconciliation, playing their roles. But I had learned patience in this cell. Patience was a weapon, and revenge was a dish best served cold. I'd frozen mine for 2 years. The cell door would open in a few hours, and when it did, hell would follow me out. Visitation hours. The sound of expensive shoes echoed down the hallway. Logan was coming again. "Griffin visitors," Officer Martinez said. "Your son says it's urgent." I closed my book. The final desperate attempt. Of course. The visitation room was divided by plexiglass. Through it, I saw Logan in his $3,000 suit, looking tired. Good. Beside him sat Delilah and Chanel, looking thinner. Even better. Logan grabbed the phone. I waited before lifting my own. "Dad, please." Logan's voice cracked. "Just signed the trust fund transfer. $2 million. The company needs it. The audit starts tomorrow. Hello to you, too, son." I cut him off coldly. Delilah leaned in tears, already forming. "Father, we've taken care of everything while you were away. We kept Sterling Industries running. The least you could do. The least I could do." My laugh was bitter. "Seuss, sit in this cage for a crime I didn't commit while you live in my house." "My house," Logan corrected sharply. "I'm CEO now. Those assets are as much mine." "Nothing is yours, Logan. Not until I'm dead." Movement behind Logan caught my eye. A figure in the doorway. Grace Griffin, my daughter, 29, in a black Armani suit, hair severely pulled back. Her face was carefully neutral as she stepped forward. "Grace, tell him." Logan glanced back. "Tell Dad how hard this has been." Grace met my eyes through the glass. Those eyes. Elizabeth's eyes had once been warm. Now they were flat, empty. "Father," Grace's voice was controlled, clinical. "You should sign. It's for the best. The company is struggling without access to the trust fund. You should cooperate." I felt something break inside. Even Grace, my daughter, standing with Logan. "Even you, Grace." I whispered. Grace looked away, saying nothing. Dad listened. Logan leaned forward desperately. "The bank requires biometric verification, fingerprint, and facial recognition. That's why we need you at the bank tomorrow. Just one signature, $2 million. Why not forge it?" I asked coldly. Logan flushed. "Because it's a federal crime and the bank has systems." "Oh, now you care about crimes." I smiled without humor. Delilah's tears vanished, replaced by anger. "You stubborn fool. You're destroying everything out of spite." "Careful, Delilah." My voice dropped to ice. "I have nothing left to lose." "Do you?" Logan slammed the table. "Tomorrow you walk out with nothing, old man. No money, no family, no power. We control everything now." I leaned forward, eyes locked on my son. "Well, see about that, Logan," I said softly. "Tomorrow, I'll show you what having nothing really means." I stood hanging up the phone. Through the glass, Logan's mouth moved, shouting. Delilah pointed, but I turned my back. As I walked toward Officer Martinez, I heard Grace's quiet voice through the glass. "Goodbye, Father. Not see you tomorrow." "Goodbye." As I turned to leave, Grace stood perfectly still. Her face a mask of cold indifference. Not a single crack in her performance. Morning sunlight poured through the iron gates of Dallas County Jail like liquid gold. I stepped into it blinking against brightness after 730 days in fluorescent gloom. The September heat hit immediately, thick humid Dallas air that smelled like freedom, gasoline, and new beginnings. A crowd had gathered outside the gates. Reporters with cameras and microphones and their position center stage like actors waiting for their cue stood Logan and Delilah. My son wore a navy blue suit that probably cost $3,000, his face arranged into careful remorse. Beside him, Delilah clutched a bouquet of white roses in her cream-colored dress. Props for the cameras. "Dad." Logan's voice carried across the parking lot loud enough for every microphone. "Welcome back. We're here for you. We're family." I didn't break stride. I walked forward, my wrinkled white shirt and faded jeans hanging loose after 2 years of prison food. These were the clothes I'd worn the day I was arrested. All I had now. Logan stepped forward, extending the roses. "Dad, please, let's go home. We can talk. Work everything out." I walked past him. Not around him. Past him. Like Logan was a piece of sidewalk furniture. "Dad." Logan's voice sharpened. His hand shot out, grabbing my arm. "Don't make a scene. Get in the car now." I stopped, slowly turned my head. Looked at Logan's hand, gripping my arm, then met his eyes. The cameras were watching, recording everything. "Let go of me," I said quietly, each word measured. "Or I'll scream that you're assaulting me in front of all these cameras." Logan's hand dropped like he'd touched fire. I resumed walking. Behind me, Delilah's voice rose the facade, cracking. "He's completely insane. 2 years destroyed his mind." The deep rumble of a powerful engine cut her off. A black Rolls-Royce Phantom glided into the parking lot like a panther chrome, gleaming in sunlight, commanding immediate attention. The license plate read, "Brooks." Every camera swung toward it. The driver's door opened. A young man stepped out, early 30s, athletic, wearing an expensive charcoal 3-piece suit. Dark hair precisely cut, intelligent eyes behind rimless glasses. He moved with quiet confidence. Maxwell Brooks, Harvard Law, top of his class, the attorney who won impossible cases. Logan had tried hiring him last year for a corporate lawsuit. Brooks had refused without explanation. Maxwell walked directly to me, ignoring reporters, ignoring Logan's shock, ignoring everything except his client. "Mr. Griffin," Maxwell's voice was clear, respectful. "Everything is ready, sir." I shook his hand once firmly. Maxwell opened the rear door with a professional bow. I paused, turning back to Logan and Delilah. They stood frozen, roses wilting in Delilah's hands, mouths slightly open, their carefully planned scene collapsing. I didn't smile, didn't gloat, just looked at them, let them see that something fundamental had changed, that the man who entered prison wasn't the man leaving it. Then I slid into the Rolls-Royce. Leather embraced me. The interior smelled of luxury, new leather polished wood power. The door closed with a solid thunk like a vault locking. Outside chaos erupted. "Mr. Griffin." Reporters swarmed Logan. "Who picked up your father? His reconciliation can lead. Where did he get the money?" Logan's face cycled through emotions. Confusion. Pale shock. Burning red. "How did he wear?" "That's Maxwell Brooks." Delilah grabbed Logan's arm, composure shattering. "You said he refused us. You said your father had nothing left." Through tinted windows, I watched realization dawn on Logan's face. He'd miscalculated, underestimated. The game wasn't over. It was beginning. Maxwell slid into the driver's seat, pressed the start button. The engine purred. "Where to, sir?" Maxwell glanced in the rearview mirror. I leaned back, closing my eyes. My first truly free breath in 2 years. Outside, Logan was shouting. Reporters were chasing. I smiled. Cold as winter. "To the sanctuary," I said quietly. "I need to wash off their touch. And then we begin the war." The Ritz-Carlton penthouse occupied the 42nd floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered views of Dallas stretching to the horizon. I stood there just breathing free air. Then I walked to the bathroom. Marble everywhere, gold fixtures, a shower with 6 heads. I turned the water, scalding hot, stripped off prison clothes, and stepped under. The water hit like baptism. I scrubbed with hotel soap, cedar, and bergamot. Nothing like prison carbolic. Scrubbed until my skin reened. 2 years of that place, 2 years of betrayal. The tears came hot as water, silent, I braced against marble and let them fall. Not from weakness, from rage, from grief for the man who trusted his son. That man was dead. When I emerged in a plush robe, Maxwell Brooks waited in the living area, but not alone. An older woman sat in leather chairs, spine straight, past 60, silver hair cut short, sharp eyes, charcoal pants suit, plain watch. Mr. Griffin, Maxwell stood. Beatrice Walsh. She was the best defense attorney in Texas. I finished before they imprisoned you. Corporate corruption. You were the scapegoat. Beatrice smiled without warmth. 5 years for refusing to betray my client. Released 6 months ago. Maxwell was my student. He told me about you. And you want to help. I want to destroy corrupt bastards. Beatrice corrected. Your son qualifies. Maxwell gestured to documents covering the coffee table. We need to move fast. Strike while Logan's off balance. I sat. Show me. Power of attorney. Maxwell laid out the first document. Logan declared you mentally incompetent. We're revoking it. Your signature reactivates your 70% shareholder status. I signed immediately. Next, emergency forensic audit. Freezes all company accounts until completion. Logan can't move money without board approval. How long? Minimum 30 days. Longer if we find irregularities, which we will. Do it. Beatrice leaned forward. Your source sent this. A manila envelope. No name. Just a 1 letter. Gee, my hand stilled. I knew that handwriting. Inside a flash drive and note on plain paper. 2 years of work. Everything you need. Trust Maxwell, your ally. Very thorough. Maxwell plugged in the drive, his laptop filled with spreadsheets, bank records, emails, shell companies, money laundering, bribes to Judge Morrison, the technician Logan paid to corrupt footage. Who is this? I asked quietly. Anonymous, Maxwell replied. But someone with Sterling Industries access. Someone Logan trusts. I stared at the letter G, my chest tightened. Grace, no. She had been cold yesterday, distant. Unless, Mr. Griffin, Beatrice prompted. I looked up, pushing the thought aside. Execute the freeze. Cut Logan from every account. Corporate, personal, everything. I want him to feel what having nothing means. Maxwell's fingers flew across keys. Bank receives our court order within the hour. Logan's notified by morning. Credit cards decline. 0 account access. Good. I returned to windows below. Dallas pulsed. My city, my company, my empire. Logan thought he could steal it. Logan miscalculated. One more thing. Beatrice handed me a photograph. Recent Logan and Delilah at Sterling Steakhouse. Laughing, toasting champagne. On back, same handwriting. Let them enjoy their last supper. I smiled. Cold. When do we go public? Tomorrow, Maxwell said. Press conference. You announced taking back control. Media will love it. Wrongfully convicted man reclaiming his empire. I nodded. Let's give them a show. Across town, Logan's phone rang in Sterling Industries' executive office. Caller ID. First National Bank of Texas. He frowned, answered, Mr. Griffin, Susan Jones, Account Services. We're seeing irregularities with your corporate accounts. Come to the branch immediately. Logan's blood ran cold and the news would destroy him. Sterling Steakhouse gleamed with old money elegance. Crystal chandeliers, white tablecloths, soft jazz, where Dallas Elite sealed deals over $30 steaks. Logan Griffin sat at the center table, visible to everyone a power statement. Delilah wore burgundy Valentino. Across sat Richard and Patricia Sterling, owners of Sterling Construction, potential investors. My son needed their $15 million, 40% ROI within 18 months. Logan gestured with his wine. Downtown Dallas is booming. This is the moment. Richard nodded. Your father built quite an empire. Head. Logan corrected smoothly. I'm expanding it, bringing Sterling Industries into the modern era. How is your father? Patricia asked carefully. His release today. Logan's smile didn't waver. Confused. 2 years took a toll, but we're handling everything. He's receiving care. Delilah placed her hand on his. It's heartbreaking, but we're family. The waiter appeared with their bill. $850. Logan pulled out his corporate black card, handed it over casually. Keep the change. The waiter swiped. Beep. Declined. Frown. Tried again. Beep. Declined. Logan's stomach dropped. Machine be glitching. Try once more. Third swipe. Beep. I'm sorry, sir. It says, contact your issuer. Patricia and Richard exchanged glances. Bank system glitch. Logan laughed too loud. Delilah, use yours. Delilah fumbled her supplementary card. Same account. Beep. Declined. Heavy silence. I'll call finance. Logan stood abruptly, chair scraping. Excuse me. He walked toward the entrance phone at his ear. Gerald Thompson, CFO. Gerald, why aren't the cards working? Gerald's voice came panicked. Mr. Griffin, I've been trying to reach you. All company accounts are frozen. SEC order at 5 o'clock. Emergency forensic audit. Logan's world tilted. What? On whose authority? Your father's Theodore reactivated his majority shareholder status. The board sided with him. He's still the founder. They trust him. I'm the CEO. Your appointment was based on power of attorney, Gerald said quietly, which he revoked. Legally, he never stopped being chairman. You were just managing the $2 million withdrawal this morning. Cancelled. Flagged suspicious. Every account locked. Nothing moves until audit clears. And Logan, turn on the TV. Logan spun toward the bar's flat screen. CNBC. I stood at a podium. Sterling Industries logo behind me. Expensive suit looking healthy, strong, angry. Caption, Theodore Griffin announced his return to Sterling Industries. I, Theodore Griffin, as rightful owner and chairman, announced complete management restructuring effective immediately. My voice rang clear. While I was wrongfully imprisoned, massive financial irregularities occurred, funds diverted, projects mismanaged, trust violated. Legal action will be taken against all responsible parties. My eyes seemed to bore through the camera into Logan. This company will be clean from top to bottom. The screen cut to reporters. I walked away. Logan stood frozen. Every eye in Sterling's steakhouse was on him. Patricia showed her husband something on her phone. The waiter hovered with the unpaid bill. Delilah appeared hissing. Logan, people are staring. What's happening? Logan couldn't speak. He watched his reflection in brass fixtures. A man who just realized he had nothing. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Enjoy your last supper. Gee, it wasn't just a declined credit card. It was checkmate. Logan Griffin woke to his phone vibrating violently. 47 missed calls. 63 texts. Barely 7 in the morning. He unlocked it. First text from his assistant. Call me immediately. Emergency. Second from a board member. What the hell is this? Third included a link. Logan clicked. Twitter loaded. Your truth for Theodore was trending. Number 1. 2 million mentions. The top tweet was from an anonymous account. Ask Justice revealed. 40,000 retweets. One image of medical record. Mercy General Hospital Dallas. Patient Delilah Pierce Griffin. Logan's hands shook. Reading it. Date September the 23rd, 11:45 p.m. Diagnosis. Spontaneous incomplete abortion due to illegal diet pills. DNP procedure. Emergency DNC performed. September 23rd, Delilah's fall at my office happened September 25th, 2 days later. Comments filled the screen. She lied. Baby was already dead. Theodore Griffin is innocent. This woman destroyed a family for money. Logan scrolled. Instagram exploded. TikTok viral. Reddit threads. The entire internet turned against them overnight. Logan threw his phone. It hit the wall. Delilah stirred. Logan, what's wrong? Get up. His voice strangled. Now he shoved his iPad in her face. The medical record. Explain why this says you miscarried September 23rd. 2 days before you fell. Delilah went white. That's fake. Your father. Ah, don't lie. Logan grabbed his phone dialed. Speaker Dr. Jones at Mercy General answered Mr. Griffin. The medical record online September 23rd. Is it authentic? Pause. Mr. Griffin, I can't discuss. Is it authentic? Quietly. Yes. Stolen by a terminated nurse, but genuine. I'm sorry for the breach. Logan hung up, stared at Delilah. She was crying. Real tears this time. Logan, I can explain. You lost the baby 2 days before. Logan said slowly. Because of illegal diet pills. Then you faked the fall. I was scared. Delilah screamed. You said if I couldn't give you an heir, so you lied. Logan grabbed her shoulders. You sent my father to prison for 2 years for a baby already dead. I saw an opportunity. Theodore was angry about money. I panicked. I threw myself down the stairs. I thought we'd be free. We'd have everything. Logan released her like poison. Stumbled back. I destroyed my father. He whispered. I testified against him. All for a baby that never existed when you fell. It wasn't my fault. The pills. Shut up. You used my grief. Say the record's fake. With what money? Logan laughed bitterly. Dad froze everything. And now the world knows you're a liar. That I'm a fool. You destroyed him because you wanted his money. Delilah's mask cracked, revealing ugliness beneath. Don't pretend this was about justice. You wanted Sterling Industries. I just gave you the excuse. Logan stared at her, really saw her for the first time. Not beautiful wife, not grieving mother, but cold, calculating stranger who'd played him from the start. Delilah stood, chin lifted. You destroyed him because you're greedy, Logan, she said with contempt. Don't blame me for your weakness. The words hung like poison. Outside car doors slammed. Logan walked to the window. 3 news vans parked outside the gates. Reporters setting up cameras. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. The truth always surfaces. The Highland Park mansion gate swung open at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I stepped from Maxwell Brooks Bentley, flanked by 2 police officers and a court official with documents. Behind them, a moving truck idled. Logan appeared at the front door, barefoot, wrinkled shirt, bloodshot eyes from the sleepless night. "What the hell is this?" Logan shouted. "Property deed 4729, the official read. Registered under Theodore Griffin's sole ownership. Premarital asset. Immediate eviction granted." Logan's mouth opened. "But I'm your son. This is our home." My voice cut like ice. "Your home. This is my house. You've been a guest who overstayed and started stealing." Delilah rushed out in her bathrobe. "You can't do this." I turned to her. "You're no Lady Delilah. Just a parasite who attached to the wrong host." I nodded to officers. "Remove personal belongings, clothes and toiletries only. Everything bought with company funds stays. My dress is my bags." Delilah screamed. "Paid for with stolen money." I cut her off. A black BMW pulled up. Grace Griffin stepped out in a navy pantsuit, sunglasses hiding her eyes. Logan's face lit with hope. "Grace, thank God. Tell him this is insane." Grace walked past Logan without acknowledgement. Approached me, heels clicking. "Father," Grace's voice measured. "Please, he's still your son. Can't we handle this privately?" My jaw tightened. "Stay out of this, Grace." Grace lowered her head. "I understand you're angry, but he's family. This will destroy him. He destroyed himself." Grace turned to Logan, face a mask of regret. "I'm sorry, brother. I tried." Logan grabbed her arm. "Grace, please call him off." Grace pulled free gently. "You made your choices. You chose Delilah over Dad. You chose lies. I can't help someone who betrayed their father." She walked to her BMW without looking back. 30 minutes later, Logan and Delilah stood outside the gates. 3 suitcases, 2 duffel bags. Everything they could prove they'd bought themselves. The gates closed with electronic finality. Neighbors filmed on phones. By nightfall, every Dallas news station would show it. 3 days later, Sunset Motel Room 2 before mildew and defeat. The air conditioner rattled, spitting lukewarm air. Stein bedspread, threadbare carpet, dripping faucet. Logan sat on the sagging mattress, counting cash for the 3rd time. $180. That was it. Delilah emerged from the bathroom, expensive hair now limp. "I can't live like this. 90 degrees. No shower pressure." Roaches. Logan. "Then leave," Logan said flatly. "With what money? My accounts are frozen, too." "You were stupid about a lot of things." Delilah's face flushed. "Don't blame me. You wanted your father's company. I just helped." Logan grabbed her arm. "Helped you lied about our baby. You were too weak to take what you wanted." Delilah yanked free. "So I took it for you." Silence except for the dripping faucet. Logan sank onto the bed, face in hands. "Lost everything. Company. Mansion. Father, sister. Dignity." He reached for his phone. Called Grace. 4 rings. She answered. "What do you want, Logan?" "Gracie, please." His voice broke. "I'm your brother. Just talk to Dad. Tell him I'm sorry. I'll do anything. Work minimum wage. Live in a studio, please." Silence. "Grace, you made your choice," Grace said quietly. "You chose Delilah over Dad, money over family. You sent our father to prison for something he didn't do." "I didn't know about the miscarriage." "But you knew he was innocent," Grace interrupted. "Deep down. And you didn't care because it was convenient. But you're my sister. I was your sister." Grace corrected. Not anymore. The line went dead. Logan stared at his dark phone screen. Delilah sat in the corner, knees to chest, mascara running. They didn't speak, didn't comfort each other. Just existed in separate spheres of misery. Outside, a police siren wailed in the distance, growing closer then fading. To both of them, it sounded like a funeral bell approaching. The boardroom on Caldwell Plaza's 40th floor was silent, the kind before executions. I sat at the head of the marble table, 8 board members watching. Behind me, Maxwell Brooks stood with his laptop ready. 9 in the morning, 1 week after the eviction, I pressed a button. The wall screen showed a plummeting red line. During Logan Griffin's tenure, net profits fell 40%. Debt increased 200%. But most interesting, Maxwell clicked. Bank transfers appeared. Shell companies. Money flowing through cracks. $1.5 million to Lux Consulting LLC. Interior design supposedly. My eyes swept the room. What interior design costs $1.5 million? Who owns Lux Consulting? Asked Richard Garrett, founding board member. Delilah Griffin, Maxwell answered. Logan's wife. Incorporated. 3 days after Theodore's conviction. Murmurs rippled. The doors burst open. Logan stumbled in security, reaching but too late. Jeans wrinkled shirt. No tie. Hair uncombed. Face unshaven, eyes wild. I'm still the legal CEO. Logan shouted. This meeting is invalid. I didn't turn. You're nothing, Logan. Just a thief. That was business diversification. You don't understand. It's embezzlement. Maxwell cut him off. Federal crime. Aggravated because of your position. I stood slowly. As holder of 70% voting shares, I moved to dismiss Logan Griffin. As CEO with dishonorable discharge, Logan went pale. 70%. You need 51% minimum. You can't vote me out alone. Correct. I need 51. I have 70, but let's make this unanimous. I looked toward the door. Maxwell, invite our final board member. The doors opened. Grace Griffin walked in. White suit, hair and tight bun, leather portfolio, heels clicking with measured precision. Logan's face shifted anger to confusion to relief. Grace, thank God. Tell them this is insane. Grace walked past him like furniture, took her seat at the table. Logan's smile died. Grace. Ladies and gentlemen, I announced Grace Griffin, holder of 30% of Sterling Industries shares inherited from Elizabeth Griffin's private trust. Logan staggered. What, Mom's shares? I thought they were dissolved. You thought wrong. Grace spoke coldly. Mom left everything to me and Dad with instructions you'd inherit only after proving ethical leadership. She pulled out a thick file. For 2 years, I documented your activities. Every transaction, every fake invoice, every lie. Logan grabbed a chair for support. You were helping Dad all along when you visited prison, when you acted like I'd turned my back on him. Grace's voice cracked. I pretended to side with you, Logan. I stood in that visitation room and called our father unstable. I attended your dinners. I listened to your plans. She hardened. And I collected evidence. Every email you sent me, every document you asked me to file, everything. Logan staggered back. You betrayed me. Your own brother. I saved our father. Grace stood slamming the table. You sent an innocent man to prison. You lived in his house. Destroyed his reputation. For what? Greed. Tears welled. But her voice stayed strong. You had everything. Dad would have made you CEO eventually. But you couldn't wait. She pulled out papers. Judge Morrison bribes, payments to the security technician, shell companies, money laundering. I have everything. Logan looked around. Board members discussed. Maxwell's satisfaction, my cold stare. His eyes found Grace. I'm your brother. You were my brother. Grace's voice broke. That person is gone. She sat composed herself. I vote yes to dismiss Logan Griffin and pursue criminal prosecution. I nodded. All in favor. 8 hands rose. Logan stood frozen. Unanimous. Security. I said quietly. Samuel Rodriguez stepped forward. No, Logan whispered. Grace, please. Grace turned her chair toward the window. Samuel's hand closed on Logan's arm. This way, Mr. Griffin. Logan pulled free, turned back. Grace. She didn't move. Didn't turn. Just sat facing the skyline. Grace, please. Samuel pulled harder. Logan's last view me at the table like a reclaimed king. Board members discussing next steps. Maxwell closing his laptop and Grace facing the window, shoulders trembling but posture never breaking. The door closed, the lock clicked. Logan Griffin had just lost the last person who might have saved him. 3 months after the boardroom collapsed, the George L. Allen Courts building buzzed with reporters and onlookers. I sat in the front row, gray suit pressed spine straight. Beside me, Grace wore a simple black dress, her hand resting lightly on mine. On the defendant's bench, Logan slumped in an orange jumpsuit, wrists cuffed. Delilah sat 2 seats away, her face hollow. They no longer looked at each other. Judge Maran Kellerman entered. The room rose. Mr. Logan Griffin. The judge began, her voice cutting through the silence. You have been found guilty of embezzlement, wire fraud, bribery, and conspiracy to commit perjury. The court sentences you to 15 years in a Texas state penitentiary without eligibility for early parole. Logan's head dropped. Mrs. Delilah Griffin, the judge continued, you cooperated with the prosecution, but your role in framing an innocent man cannot be overlooked. The court sentences you to 12 years in state prison. Delilah stared at her hands. I didn't move as the bailiffs led them away. Logan turned back once, his eyes finding mine. My gaze was ice. Outside the courthouse, beneath the wide Texas sky, I stopped on the stone steps. Grace turned to me, her eyes wet. Dad, she whispered. It's over. I pulled her into my arms and wept deep, shaking sobs that came from 2 years of silence. 2 years of betrayal, 2 years of my daughter's secret sacrifice. You gave up everything, I choked out. 2 years pretending to hate me. Grace held me tighter. I couldn't let him win. Dad. You're the only family I have left, I said, voice raw. The only one who stayed. She pulled back, wiping her tears. And you're mine. That's all that matters now. Behind us, Maxwell Brooks and Beatrice Walsh stood quietly. This moment was sacred. 1 year later, I sat across from Logan in the visitation room of the Texas State Penitentiary. Logan's face was gaunt. His prison uniform faded. Dad, Logan said softly. I know I don't deserve it, but I slid a manila envelope across the table. Logan's hands trembled as he pulled out the document. His eyes scanned the words, transfer of ownership, Sterling Industries. Grace Elena Griffin, 100% shareholder and chief executive officer. You're giving her everything, Logan's voice cracked. I already did, I said flatly. 6 months ago, it's hers now. Logan looked up desperate. And me? I leaned forward. You are no longer my son legally, emotionally, financially. You chose greed over family. You chose her over me. Dad, please don't. I stood. You will serve your 15 years, and when you get out, you will have nothing. No name, no legacy, no father. I turned toward the door. Dad. Logan's voice broke. I'm sorry. I paused, my back to my son. For a moment, the room held its breath. Then I walked out. The steel door clanged shut behind me. Outside, the Texas sun blazed over the flat horizon. I walked toward the black sedan. Grace leaned against it, arms crossed, a small smile on her face. How did it go? She asked gently. It's done, I said. She nodded. Good. I looked at her, my daughter, my partner, my only true family. You ready to run an empire? Grace grinned. I've been running it for 6 months, old man. I laughed, a real laugh, the first in years. As the car pulled away from the prison, I glanced once in the side mirror. The gray walls grew smaller, then disappeared. The Texas sun hung low over the prison complex as our car merged onto the highway. Grace drove in silence, both hands steady on the wheel. No music. No small talk. Some moments didn't need noise. They needed space. I watched the concrete walls shrink in the side mirror until they disappeared entirely. For the first time in years, I wasn't running toward anything. No board meetings. No lawsuits. No betrayals waiting behind closed doors. Just road. And time. You know, I said finally, my voice rough but calm, I didn't go there for forgiveness. Grace didn't look at me. I know. I went to make sure I didn't feel anything anymore. She nodded once. And I exhaled slowly. I felt nothing. And that's how I knew it was over. The highway stretched ahead, flat and endless. The past was behind us now, sealed behind steel doors and bad choices. Logan had made his. I had made mine. 2 weeks later, Sterling Industries announced its first major restructuring under Grace Griffin's leadership. The headlines were ruthless. Grace didn't read the comments. She never did. She worked 16-hour days, reviewed every contract, canceled every deal that smelled even faintly of compromise. Where Logan had chased expansion, Grace focused on stability. Where he had hidden numbers, she exposed them. Within 3 months, Sterling's stock stabilized. Within 6, it climbed. Employees began to talk. Not about money. About trust. They said the new CEO walked the floors. Learned names. Asked questions. Fired executives who couldn't explain their own spreadsheets. They said Sterling Industries finally felt honest again. I stayed out of the spotlight. No interviews. No victory laps. No redemption tour. I moved into a quiet lake house outside Dallas. No mansion. No gates. Just water, trees, and mornings that smelled like coffee instead of ambition. Sometimes Grace visited on weekends. We cooked. We talked. Sometimes we didn't. One evening, as the sun bled orange across the lake, she asked the question she'd been holding back. Do you ever think about him? I didn't need to ask who. Yes, I said. Less than before. But yes. Do you regret it? I considered the question carefully. I regret raising a son who thought love was conditional, I said slowly. I don't regret choosing not to save a man who refused to save himself. Grace nodded. That answer was enough. 6 months later, a letter arrived. Texas State Penitentiary. Inmate, Logan Griffin. I didn't open it right away. I let it sit on the table for 3 days. When I finally did, the handwriting was shaky. Dad, I don't expect a reply. I just needed you to know I finally understand. Every night in here, I replay it. The lies. The choices. I destroyed everything you built because I wanted it faster. I don't ask for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just want you to know I'm sorry. I folded the letter once. Then again. I didn't write back. Some apologies arrive too late to be useful. They're not meant to be answered. They're meant to be lived with. A year passed. Sterling Industries broke revenue records, clean ones. Grace became one of the youngest CEOs invited to speak at ethics panels. She declined most. She said leadership didn't need applause. It needed consistency. On the anniversary of my release, we stood together at Elizabeth's grave. Grace placed fresh lilies. I rested my hand on the stone. You would have been proud, I said quietly. Grace didn't cry. She stood tall, just like her mother had. As we walked back to the car, she glanced at me. You know, she said, people still ask if I hate my brother. And? I asked. I tell them hate takes too much energy, she replied. I spent mine protecting what mattered. That night, I sat alone on the porch, the lake calm and dark. I thought about legacy. Not companies. Not money. Not names etched on buildings. Legacy is the person who stands when everyone else sits down. Legacy is truth chosen over comfort. Legacy is the child who pretends to betray you just to save you. I lost a son to greed. I gained a daughter to loyalty. And if there's one thing this old man learned the hard way, it's this: blood makes you related. Character makes you family. This is my story. A true story of betrayal, patience, and quiet justice. If you're listening to this, remember, power fades. Money vanishes. But the choices you make when no one is watching will follow you forever. Choose wisely. Time has a strange way of revealing truth. In prison, time crawls. Every minute stretches itself thin, like it doesn't want to move forward. Out here, time behaves differently. It runs. Quietly. Relentlessly. Carrying consequences with it. Months after I read Logan's letter, I began to notice something unexpected. Peace. Not happiness. Not joy. Peace. It came in small, unannounced moments. The sound of birds instead of sirens. The feeling of sleeping through the night without reliving a courtroom. The absence of rage. For 2 years, anger had kept me alive. It sharpened my focus. Gave me patience. Fueled my return. But anger is not meant to be permanent. If you hold on to it too long, it starts demanding payment. So I let it go. Not for Logan. Not for Delilah. For myself. Grace understood without me having to explain. She was changing too. Leadership had carved something sharper into her. She was still kind, but not soft. Compassionate, but not naive. She learned quickly that power doesn't corrupt everyone. It only reveals who they already are. One afternoon, she called me from the office. Dad, she said, we found something. Her tone told me this wasn't routine. An hour later, I sat across from her in the executive conference room. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Dallas laid out below us like a chessboard. Maxwell Brooks stood beside her, arms crossed. We were finalizing the forensic audit. Grace began, sliding a folder toward me. This was buried deep. Too deep to be accidental. I opened it. Old transactions. Years before Logan. Before Delilah. My name appeared on the accounts, but I hadn't authorized any of them. My jaw tightened. Someone used Sterling Industries to move money under my signature, I said. Yes, Maxwell replied. And they did it while you were still in control. Grace met my eyes. Dad, it wasn't Logan. Silence filled the room. Who was it? I asked. Grace took a breath. Your brother. Michael. The name hit me harder than I expected. Michael Griffin. My younger brother. CFO in the early years. The man I trusted when Sterling was nothing but a rented office and borrowed faith. He'd left the company quietly 15 years ago. Said he wanted a simpler life. I'd believed him. Michael used shell companies long before Logan learned how, Maxwell explained. When he left, he covered his tracks well. But not perfectly. I leaned back slowly. So this rot started before my son, I said. He just continued it. Grace nodded. Logan wasn't the beginning. He was the echo. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat on the porch until dawn, replaying memories I hadn't questioned in decades. Michael recommending certain vendors. Michael pushing urgency. Michael insisting on trust over documentation. I had been building an empire. He had been hollowing it out. The realization hurt, but it also clarified something important. Logan hadn't become what he was overnight. He learned that betrayal could wear a familiar face. We chose not to go public with Michael's crimes. Statute of limitations. No appetite for dragging another Griffin through the mud. But Grace made one thing very clear. No more secrets, she said. Not even family ones. Sterling Industries released a transparency report unlike anything Dallas had seen. Every past mistake documented. Every structural flaw acknowledged. The media called it corporate suicide. The market disagreed. Trust, it turns out, has value. Meanwhile, Logan faded from the headlines. Public memory is short. Scandals are replaced quickly. New villains arrive. But prison time moves slowly. Logan learned that the hard way. I heard things. Indirectly. From Maxwell. From correctional attorneys. Logan struggled. Not because prison was violent, but because it was indifferent. No special treatment. No name recognition. No power. Just another number. In his first year, he tried to explain himself to anyone who would listen. Guards. Counselors. Other inmates. By his second year, he stopped talking altogether. Delilah, on the other hand, adapted quickly. She found protection. Traded information. Learned how to survive. Logan had never learned that skill. He'd always assumed the world would bend. It didn't. One rainy afternoon, nearly 2 years after his sentencing, Grace received a call. Logan had been assaulted. Not seriously. Broken ribs. A fractured cheekbone. But the message was clear. Grace asked me if we should intervene. No, I said gently. He needs to live with the world he built. She nodded, though it wasn't easy. That night, Grace stayed over. We sat by the fireplace, old photo albums spread across the table. Pictures from before everything broke. Logan at 10 years old, missing a front tooth. Grace on my shoulders at the zoo. Elizabeth laughing mid-sentence, unaware of the future. I miss Mom, Grace said quietly. So do I. She would have hated all of this. Yes, I agreed. But she would have been proud of you. Grace looked down. Sometimes I wonder if pretending to betray you changed me. I took her hand. It didn't, I said. It revealed you. She smiled faintly. 3 years passed. Sterling Industries expanded again, but differently. Smaller acquisitions. Ethical audits. Long-term planning. Grace refused shortcuts. She also refused to marry, despite persistent rumors and pressure. Maybe one day, she told me. Right now, I'm exactly where I need to be. As for me, I aged. Not badly. Just honestly. Gray replaced brown. My hands stiffened in the mornings. I learned to enjoy slowness. I began volunteering at a legal aid clinic for wrongfully convicted inmates. I never told my full story. I didn't need to. I knew the look in their eyes. The disbelief. The exhaustion. The quiet rage. I funded appeals. Paid for investigators. Sat with families. I couldn't save everyone. But I saved some. One evening, as I locked up the clinic, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Almost. "Mr. Griffin?" a voice asked. "This is Warden Collins from Huntsville." My chest tightened. "Yes. I'm calling to inform you that your son, Logan Griffin, attempted suicide this morning." Silence roared in my ears. "He survived," the warden continued quickly. "He's stable. Under observation." I closed my eyes. "Thank you for telling me," I said. After the call ended, I sat on the curb for a long time. When I told Grace, she didn't speak. She just hugged me. For the first time since Elizabeth's death, I felt old. Not weak. Just tired. I didn't visit Logan immediately. I waited. Weeks later, when the doctors said he was lucid, I went. The prison smelled the same. Bleach and despair. Logan looked smaller. Thinner. When he saw me, he didn't speak. I sat across from him. "You didn't come to save me," he said hoarsely. "No," I replied. "I came to say goodbye." His eyes filled. "I failed you." "Yes," I said. "You did." He flinched, but didn't look away. "But you're still my son," I continued. "And I don't want you to die thinking you were never loved." Tears fell freely now. "I loved you," I said quietly. "Even when you destroyed me." I stood. "This is the last time I'll come," I said. "Not because I hate you. Because I finally forgive you." I turned and walked away. I didn't look back. That was the final mercy I could offer. The visit stayed with me longer than I expected. Not Logan's face. Not his tears. The silence after I left. Some doors, once closed, don't echo. They simply absorb the sound and move on. That's what forgiveness felt like. Not relief. Not reconciliation. Just the end of noise. After that day, I stopped dreaming about prison corridors. I slept deeply. Fully. Like a man who had finally paid every debt he owed, both real and imagined. Grace noticed the change. "You're lighter," she said one afternoon as we walked along the lake. "I'm finished," I replied. "There's a difference." Years continued to pass. Quietly. Grace turned Sterling Industries into something no one expected: boring, stable, respected. No scandals. No flashy headlines. Analysts complained there was nothing exciting to report. She smiled when she heard that. "Good," she said. "Excitement is expensive." She introduced employee ownership programs. Transparent salary bands. Independent ethics oversight. Competitors mocked her. Then copied her. I watched from the sidelines, content to be a name on paper and a voice she called when decisions felt heavy. She didn't need me. She wanted me. That distinction mattered more than anything I'd ever owned. When I turned 75, Grace threw a small dinner. No press. No speeches. Just a handful of people who'd earned the right to be there. Maxwell Brooks came. Beatrice Walsh too. Beatrice raised a glass. "To Theodore Griffin," she said. "A man who learned that justice doesn't always come from courts, and power doesn't always corrupt." Maxwell added quietly, "And to Grace, who proved that leadership can still have a spine." Grace rolled her eyes. But she smiled. Later that night, after everyone left, Grace sat across from me. "There's something I should tell you," she said. Her tone was careful. "I've been offered a position," she continued. "Federal oversight. Corporate Ethics Council." I studied her face. "Do you want it?" I asked. "Yes," she said without hesitation. "But only if Sterling can stand without me." I laughed softly. "It already does," I said. "That's how I know you succeeded." She took the position. Sterling Industries promoted internally. No Griffin at the helm for the first time in its history. The company didn't collapse. It thrived. That was Grace's final proof. As for Logan, I heard one final update. 5 years into his sentence, he was transferred. Lower security. Good behavior. He never tried to contact me again. That was mercy, too. My body began to slow before my mind did. Stares became negotiations. Mornings took longer. Doctors started using phrases like manage instead of fix. I didn't mind. I had already lived more lives than most men. One evening, Grace sat with me on the porch. "You're not afraid," she observed. "No," I said. "I'm complete." She swallowed hard. "I don't want to lose you." I took her hand, the same way I had years ago when she was a child and storms frightened her. "You won't," I said. "I'll just change form." She laughed through tears. A year later, I recorded this story. Not for fame. Not for sympathy. For honesty. I wanted people to understand that betrayal doesn't always come from enemies. Sometimes it comes from the people you built everything for. And that loyalty doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it hides behind silence and sacrifice. I wanted them to know that revenge is loud, but justice is patient. And that forgiveness is not about letting someone back into your life. It's about letting yourself move forward without them. When the recording ended, I looked into the camera and said the only thing that mattered. If you're listening to this, remember, family isn't who shares your blood. It's who shares your burden. A month later, my heart failed quietly in my sleep. No pain. No struggle. Grace was with me the night before. We talked about nothing important. That was the gift. At my funeral, there were no speeches about money. No one mentioned Sterling Industries. Grace stood at the front, composed, strong. She said only this: "My father taught me that integrity costs something, but not having it costs everything." She stepped down. That was enough. Years later, a young man wrote to Grace. He'd heard my story online. Said it stopped him from lying to his father. Said it saved a relationship before it broke. Grace framed the letter. She kept it in her office, not as a reminder of me, but as proof that truth travels further than wealth ever could. And if you're hearing this now, then it reached you too. That means my story didn't end with me. It ended with you listening. This was my true story. A story of betrayal, patience, sacrifice, and quiet justice. I was Theodore Griffin. And this was the legacy that mattered. The past was buried. The future was ours. This is my story. A true story of betrayal, sacrifice, and the price of loyalty. I'm Theodore Griffin, and I'm sharing this on Grandpa's Stories because I want you to learn what I learned the hard way. Family isn't just blood. It's who stands by you when the world burns down around you. Don't be like my son, Logan. Don't let greed blind you to what truly matters. Don't betray the people who built everything you have. I lost my son forever, not to prison, but to his own choices. And I gained a daughter who proved that real love requires sacrifice. God gave me Grace for a reason to remind me that loyalty and integrity still exist in this broken world. She pretended to abandon me for 2 years just to save me. That's the kind of person worth fighting for. So, Here's my advice from this true story. Choose your family wisely. Choose character over convenience. Choose loyalty over greed. If this grandpa story's true story touched your heart, please leave a comment below sharing your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss stories like mine. And if you believe in second chances and the power of loyalty, hit that share button.